107.5 The Diamond, your home for hip-hop and R&B.
107.5 The Diamond, DJ AR. Listen, we have the middleman, Keven Martinez, in the building today. How you doing?
We're here, man. We're feeling great. We just drove from Dundee, New York, which was a 3-hour drive. Mr. C's PA, our good friend, was racing, was doing some dirt racing. So it's been a jam-packed weekend. Feeling good, feeling great.
I see you guys be doing the dirt racing. What is, how'd you get into that?
So that's all Steve's, man. That's all Steve's. Him and his family, they've been dirt racing for generations now. So, it started with grandpa, then his dad, and now it's the two boys, So it's Steve's and his brother. They dirt race, and they're extremely talented at it, man. It's such a competitive sport. I've never had an experience like that prior to this year. And it's just like I'm in the pit. So I'm in there, you get your little koozie, you got yourself a little drink or whatever, checking out the tires, putting gas, and just some minor things wherever I get help. Even just rolling the car out, it's nice to have like 3 to 4 people with you because the cars don't start. You have to get them in motion and then they'll turn on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. But yeah, just did a vlog there for 2 days, and it was a jam-packed weekend, man. Great times.
That's what's up. So did you ever drive a car?
No, the closest I've gotten to driving the car is he does have a simulator in his house. Okay. So, that's probably as close as I will ever get to driving that car because it is extremely expensive. All those materials, just the car itself, it's not something that you don't let a rookie in.
Right, yeah.
On their first one, yeah. And there's levels to it. So he's like in the middle tier right now. You start here, middle, and then it goes to higher engine, which he has driven, but it's just not the car that he owns,
Okay, yeah, I see Steve's doing it all the time. We have to have him come up here for sure soon.
Yeah.
So, I came on the Middleman a couple months ago, April, and we talked about me, but today we're gonna learn more about you.
Okay.
So the first thing I want to ask is, where are you from?
I was originally born in Far Rockaway, Queens, New York, but I grew up in Mount Pocono. So I say I'm from Tobyhanna, Mount Pocono. Okay, so second grade, I moved to Tobyhanna, and then I just grew up in Mount Pocono. And it wasn't until maybe 23, so I'm 27 now, so we'll say about 5 years ago that I moved to Scranton. So now I'm in Scranton, and I've been there for 5-6 years, and, that's basically where the Middleman podcast has started, but that's not where my podcast career has begun, if that makes sense, yeah.
So I want to ask about Tobyhanna quick because, obviously
Toby Harlan, a 570, you heard?
I was out there once to play basketball when I was younger, but I don't know too much about that area. So what's it like?
Tobyhanna is a very, it's a little bit of a suburban, I don't want to say country, it's far from country, but there's woods out there, but it's rural, I think would be the word to use, rural. I grew up in a development called PCP, a Pocono country place. Yeah, I know, it sounds like a drug, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought.
The only thing that separates it from being a drug in a community is the letter A in front of it. So APCP, and that is a gated community with multiple sections. People who are from Tobyhanna, they'll understand there's main section, G section, H section, there's just multiple gates, stuff like that. And it was pretty much I grew up riding bikes with my friends. I tend to move every 2 years with a single mom, we tend to move every 2 years to a different new place, but we always managed to stay in a Pocono country place. Like I said, there's multiple gates, but we always managed to stay in that place. And yeah, just growing up was a lot of bike riding, football. I went to Pocono Mountain West, and just trees and hanging out. That's really it. Bike riding was really the highlight of it, bro. I can remember hosting racing, just regular bike racing with your buddies where you put a bottle in between the frame and the tire so it sounds like a motorcycle.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's what it was like. There people would perceive it has a bad rep for being considered the ghetto, okay? And I'll tell you this, it's about who you hang out with and what you do, because the people you surround yourself with, if they're doing all that rah-rah, you're going to end up in those situations where you may be in what would be considered the ghetto, you know what I'm saying? But if you just hang around in a cul-de-sac and play manhunt, ride a bike, play some street football, you're going to be just fine. So That's a big misconception and it really irks me. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow, Manhunt. I haven't heard that in forever.
I love Manhunt.
We used to do over here in Kingston. I biked a little bit, but my bikes kept getting stolen. I don't know what's going on. But Wilkes-Barre, Kingston, there's all these different places that people would make their own like bike parks, basically, and it would be behind the park. And it was all the like dirt just putting up and these ramps. It was so cool. But I mean, they ended up demolishing them because, kids are going to be kids and they were doing, stuff back there. Maybe you shouldn't be. But, it's definitely the biking. I find that really interesting. So you started, grew up in Tobyhanna. Mm-hmm. You moved to Scranton, you said, as you got older.
Yes.
When did the podcasting start?
So I started this thing called, it was like prior to COVID. We weren't in lockdown yet. Okay. So I was doing this thing where I would just rant on Snapchat. And I remember which one it was. It was about Gary Vee. You know who Gary Vee is? Yeah. All right. I'm not a big fan of Gary Vee. I'm just not. Me personally, I don't need that obvious motivation of get up, wake up. Yeah. Get out of your bed. You're awake this morning. I don't need that. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. I do that. I just naturally am like that, and I'm able to do that. Some people might need that. Whatever, cool. But so I was very agitated about Gary Vee and how his motivation is and stuff like that. So I remember just doing a rant, and it was like 2 minutes, and so on and so forth. And my friend Joe was like, "Yo, you do this often." Like, I would just get on Snapchat and I'd ramble and it'd be comical. Yeah. And he was like, you do this often. You should think about making something out of this. I was like, oh, what would I call it? And so my nickname is Kmart, Keven Martinez. And so he was like, you should call it, what will Kmart shut down? That's what it was. What would Kmart shut down? So religiously, every Wednesday, I would pick a topic and I would shut it down. Okay. It could be like an inanimate object. It could be something I saw, like a Lego bounty commercial. I'm ripping a commercial apart. Like, yo, they made a man step on a Lego for a bounty. Like it was just, ice, stuff like that. I did one about baby leashes. You guys know the baby leashes where, they put a backpack on their child and, they have the leash. I got a little bit of backlash for that. But so I did that for about a year. Everyone, and it still pops up on my Snapchat stories, and it's like, dude, it's so cringe because some of the things that I say, I'm like, damn, like, would I say that now? I might word it differently. Okay. So What Would Kmart Shut Down started, and then COVID happened, and my roommate at the time, Mario, one of my best friends, him and I, he was like, yo, let me get in on this with you. Let me do something with you. And I was like, bet. So we ended up buying this equipment from Rockville Audio. It was like a special bundle, like priced at like $1,100, and it was like, oh, COVID drops, so it was like $300 or whatever, right? Oh, wow. So we bought all this equipment, multiple microphones. They gave us a mixer, a soundboard. They gave us all this fancy stuff. And like the mixer and the soundboard, we weren't able to figure it out, bro. I've given it to everyone and like it just didn't make sense. Like you go on YouTube and it just didn't make sense. So eventually we got it up and running and we were able to do the bare minimum. And so we transitioned What Would Kmart Shut Down to the Shutdown podcast. So we did that for about like 4 or 5 episodes, and it was very foolish. It was just my buddies and I, just chopping it up, having fun, COVID, just talking nonsense. But it was very negative because the whole gist of it was to shut something down at the end of the conversation. Okay. So it was like, what's your topic of the week that you're going to come in and say that is like idiotic and I don't want to do this, stuff like that. And we would do that. But the problem was my buddy Mario, like I would always like, oh, you ready to go? You ready to go? You ready to go? His drive wasn't so much in it, and I was doing a lot of the editing and it was always something that I wanted to do. So I kind of just let it fizzle out. Okay. I kind of just let it fizzle out. I saw that he wasn't really into it. So I kind of let it fizzle out. And then so at one point I felt that my time in Mount Pocono was up. And so I moved to Scranton. So I paid him for the other half of the equipment and I took that equipment and I moved to Scranton. Then I'm in a whole rebranding thing. Now I'm thinking about rebranding. And so, as I mentioned, the shutdown was very negative. And I was like, I don't want to perceive and put that out in the world, making everything so negative. Yeah. I was looking for a co-host to do this show with. And at the time, the person who I was, potentially going to have as a co-host, they were like, oh, you should just do this by yourself because it's something that you're passionate about, right? Now I'm thinking about names. The Fly on the Wall, this, that, and the third. I'm just thinking about names. I'm like, where am I going to come up with a name for this? And I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I know that I wanted to like build a platform for people. Okay, I wanted to talk to people in a good manner and, you know, spread some love and positivity throughout the world. And so there's this one song called Hit by Kenny Mason. And before the track starts, they have this whole like prelude conversation. And I remember just pacing around in my room, trying to think of a name. I'm listening to the song and he goes, they're talking about, you know, selling, so on and so forth. And he goes, are you the middleman? And he's like, no, I'm not the middleman. My partner is or whatever. And I was like, middleman. And I wrote it down.
Yeah.
And then I just thought about it and I was like, yeah, that's it. That's what we're going to do. The Middleman podcast, you know, and I created a whole theme song. My boy, Henry, we don't use that theme song anymore, but it was him and I having a conversation back. It was a lot of fun. And then, so I just figured it out myself. You know, I just started doing it by myself and I called upon my friends early on to come and join me on the show because it's very hard to get people on starting out.
Yeah.
You know, because they want to see substance. You know, a lot of people, they think when you start a podcast or a platform like this, maybe it's just a phase or something that you're going to do every now and then, you know?
Yeah.
But then as you start to build a consistency, now people are starting knocking down your door. So that's pretty much how it started, you know? And I still use that Rockville audio stuff for like episodes 1 through 14, no video, just strictly audio edited by me. And then from 14 to 50, I went to a studio called Sanctuary Studio, and they ended up closing down. And then after that, after 50, I was like, well, we got to keep going. So I just took my equipment and I went back upstairs into my apartment and I had a super long table. It was so different, you know, so different. Them, yeah. Like if you really go back in the beginning and see where we came from. And then I just started like upgrading as we went because, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how it goes when you're doing stuff like this is you get the footwork and the groundwork in, and then you start moving up. So I have a couple questions from what you said in there.
Okay.
So first off, what the hell made you move to Scranton?
I was coming up here often. My cameraman, Michael, you met Michael.
Yeah.
Shout out Michael. His older brother, Charlie, is one of my really good family friends. And so he lived up here. And he was going to Marywood. And so I just remember, like, coming out here to party, you know, levels, stuff like that. Come out here to party. Yep. But I'd go out there, you know, 18, 19, so not old enough to go to the bar. And we walk around, and it was a different way of living. You know, there were sidewalks, and there were, like, you know.
Yeah.
It was just different to what I'm accustomed to in Tobyhanna. So, like I said, my time was up in Mount Pocono. It was just like I felt like my friends really weren't my friends. You know, people start to grow out of each other, and so I was like, all right, it's time for me to go. And so since he was up here, and I always enjoyed my time up here, I was like, well, let's go to Scranton. And so Michael's sister, her and I lived in an apartment together. So I moved in with her, and that's how I got into Scranton.
Okay. And so I heard about the Middleman last year, and this is a name I bring up damn near in every interview, but Twin Gambit I saw
Mr. Gambit, yeah.
and doing a podcast. And the first time I saw it, I was just like, wow, it was great. The background, the presentation, the quality, the way you had a conversation with them, it was just all around, it was fantastic. And I want to know, what was that first podcast like, though?
So the first podcast that I ever did was with my older brother, and that was a Zoom call. My older brother he's in the military, so at the time he was living in Louisiana.
Okay.
And so we did it, but the quality of the audio is just horrendous, especially being that he was on Zoom and it was like one of my first ones. It was extremely hard to make that work out. And then the second one was DJ Q. I remember that too. And it's fun. You know, it's a lot of fun to look back because I see I have a little boom and like really small microphones. And I just remember the setup, like we were sitting across from each other, like you and I are side to side from each other right now. We were across from each other, across from like a table that you would play beer pong on. Like it's that long of a table. And it was just, I don't know, it was a lot of fun. Like I had decent support in the beginning, you know, and I was able to call upon a good amount of my friends to get me going past like episode 13 or 14, you know. And then I forgot what number it is. I think it's, if you make it past 30 episodes as a podcast, you are like in the top percentage of how many podcasts actually surpass the 30th episode.
Okay.
You know, so like once I hit that mile marker, if you Google it, it'll tell you it's like a very small percentage that actually make it past 30. So many podcasts start, but they can't survive. They can't keep going. But once I started hitting that stride, I was like, all right, we're doing it. Like we're doing it, you know? And then I remember like just running out of guests and just calling upon other people like, hey, dude, do you know someone who might be able to fill in? And we did what we did, man. We did what we did. It's not a problem anymore, though. I'll tell you that.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. I mean, 150 episodes plus coming, you know, at this point, I'm sure people are knocking on the door. We're going to take a quick music break real quick. 107.5 Diamond. 107.5 The Diamond, DJ AR. We are back. The middleman, Keven Martinez, is in the building. So we're talking about your setup, how it's evolved over the years.
Yes.
The one thing you have is the middleman logo, and it's like carved out of wood.
Yes. Yep.
I love that. Where'd you get that?
That is a piece. So Charlie, Michael's older brother, is my digital design guy. Anything Middleman podcast related that needs to be digitally designed, I go through him. And so he's helped create that logo from scratch. He's an architect, so he is really good with these computer programs and stuff like that. So I think it was 3 years ago now, my older brother said he had a really good Christmas present for me. And so, you know, Christmas comes around and it's the last gift and it's like, all right, Kev, shut your eyes. And I'm like, oh, am I going to get some keys? Am I going to get a Ferrari or something like that, you know? And so Charlie comes out. He handmade that entire thing from scratch. He handmade that entire wooden sign that you see and gifted it to me. So it was funded by my older brother, created by Charlie, and it brought some tears to my eyes. It really did. So, and as a matter of fact, it's actually it's taken down right now, and it is getting a facelift.
Oh, okay.
It's getting a facelift because if you haven't noticed on the sign, the one thing that's missing in my logo, I have a man standing on the building with a microphone. Yeah, that person isn't there in the sign.
Oh wow, I didn't even notice that.
It also had lights behind it too, but with my setup and how bright we have it, it's kind of irrelevant to have lights because you can't even see it. It's a nice aesthetic at night if I ever just want to take something like a photo. Yeah. But, you know, that's where that sign came from. And the creation of the sign. Here, I'll give you this little tidbit of it, or my logo, as a matter of fact. So why did I choose those colors? Why did I want to do it why did we present it as the way we did? So first and foremost was the colors, okay? Jimmy Fallon. You guys know Jimmy Fallon, The Tonight Show? Mm-hmm. I'm a big fan of Jimmy Fallon. I think his comedy is one of the best. He's extremely funny. He's one of the best late-night talk show hosts that I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. His color scheme, blue, white, yellow, is where I got the color scheme from. Okay. That's why I remember seeing, like, this is the color scheme I want. And so that was the color scheme. And then the whole premise of it is like, I'm from Mount Pocono, the mountains, okay? We call it the mountain, although it's kind of a hill. And I live in a city now, which is Scranton, okay? And in between is a guy with the microphone in the middle of it. You have the middleman up here, and then on the bottom, I believe, if I'm correct, it should say the people's voice. I might be wrong about that, but but point being is like the way I view it is I'm in the middle. Like that logo can go with me anywhere, because if I'm in a city or if I'm in a mountain, I'm dead in the center, you know? So he basically just created my vision, brought it to life. And so, you know, that's how we came up with the Middleman podcast sign.
That's dope.
That was a logo.
I really like the thought put into it, because it has the layers to it. Mm-hmm. You know, you said something too that's funny is we live in, you know, the valleys and stuff out here, and these they call them mountains, but they're hills. Yeah. And then if you go to LA, they live in the hills, but they're mountains. It's like
it's so ass backwards. It's so backwards.
So what is the process of getting ready for each different person on the show? Because everybody's
that's a good question.
Doing a lot of different things.
And I dive into so many different avenues. So what's the process? I mean, you've been in a process, you know what I mean? So everyone who's been on a show, they get the same exact process. It's a screening. It's a pre-screen, okay? Like I've had, and one thing I want to mention right here real quick right now is don't hit me up with being like, yo, let me get a show. because I won't hit you back. Without a doubt, I won't hit you back, and I won't even entertain it. I don't care how many followers you have. I'm not going to entertain it. If you want to get on the show, in my opinion, the best approach is, hi, my name is so-and-so, and this is what I do, and here's a little bit of my work, so on and blah, blah, blah. I hope you find an interest in joining me. Hope to hear from you soon. That more than likely will get a view and attention. I will, more than likely respond. But if you're just going to hit me up and say, yo, let me get a show, trust me, I'm not going to give you a show, okay?
That's right.
I'm not going to give you a show. So the screening, right? Most people, they come to me and they speak to me and they let me know what's going on. Or I go out and I find people and I ask them to come on the show. What we do before the show is we always have a conversation on the phone. I make it a kind of a thing that isn't, it's mandatory to me that I want to have that conversation with you on the phone before we have the conversation on the podcast, okay? Because that conversation on the phone is to see if I can even speak to you. And if we can even flow for real.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I mean? Like,
it's necessary, yeah.
If I'm talking to someone and I'm like, so why do you want to come on the show? Because I really feel like it. All right, cool. Yeah, cool. And so like answers like that will not give you a chance to get on the show. If it's like, oh, because this, that, blah, blah, blah. I've seen this episode. I've seen that episode. All right, cool. Very nice. Very nice. It shows me who's serious and who's not. And that conversation prior, I always tell people like, this is my setup. This is how we operate. It's an hour to an hour and 20 minutes long. We have tea time as part of this segment. Mm-hmm. This is what tea time is. My platform, my goal, what I want to do is I want to highlight how you got to where you are now, who you were before that, and everything in between. I want to highlight you as an artist, musician, whatever you do. I want to highlight your craft of art, but also on the same token, I want to be able to speak to you as a person, as if we were going to sit there and have a cup of coffee. Right. And I get to know a little bit about your moral compass and stuff like that. Like what you really value as a person, let alone a musician or creator or something like that. And then I basically tell people like, okay, give me 3 to 5 bullet points of things that you want to speak on while being on the show. Okay, whether it be, we're just going to use a musician for this example, whether it be like an artist, a single drop or an album drop or a show that you have coming up, like just things like that. And previous interviews that you may have done. Let me see all that. Send it my way so I can do my own research. And then, they give me 3 to 5 bullet points. I look at those 3 to 5 bullet points. I follow where they want me to go. I'll do my research and I'll, be ready for the show. I will just use what they gave me, not as a script, but as a guide to kind of make sure that I highlight what they want to speak on while they're on my show. And then through my research, I'm going to genuinely get some questions. That's one thing, is that I'm genuinely interested in almost anyone who has come on my show, because if they come on the show and I'm not genuinely interested in it, how am I going to ask you a question about something that I don't care about?
Right.
Yeah. So that's what it is.
There's a couple things in there that you said, especially with people DMing.
Yo, let me get a show.
Yo, let me get a show. Yo, here's my song. Yo, let me get on the station. Mm-hmm. And there was one thing that my mentor, Dame Taylor, would always say. It's like, be personable. Like, I'm not a robot, bro. Don't hit me up just sending me a link because you're going to get blocked. And I feel that because it's like, yo, people hit us up and like, yo, let me hop on. It's like, bro, who are you?
Exactly.
Also,
like, have some respect for me.
Yeah.
And yourself, like,
right. And also too with some of the guys, we haven't really had this yet, but some of the rappers you can see in interviews, they come up and they be like smacked.
Yo, that's horrendous. I've had that before, man.
You're like, oh fuck, I don't like, how do I even?
Bro, so bopped this guy was that, like, I just shut the show down. I was like, all right, we're done. And I remember
sometimes you gotta just make that call. You know what I mean? So you've done 150 episodes as the Middleman podcast.
Yes.
1 through 50. Can you give me a couple moments that were like stand out?
So 1 through 50 is kind of hard because there isn't any video, but there's one highlight moment that I remember, and we talk about it all the time because it was so funny. It was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. I was having a conversation with CJ Lopez and Nick King, and we were at the Sanctuary Studio at this time, and their setup is like, we were inside the room, and then the engineering room had a glass wall or a glass window, and the person was back there making sure everything was still running. And I don't know how, but we got on the topic of flat earthers and stuff like that, right? And I remember saying like, yeah, to my one buddy CJ, I go, yeah, you know, Kyrie Irving's a flat earther, right? And he was like, what? Bro, like the amount of disgust and confusion in his face, bro, just like made us all die of laughter. Like it was, it was one of those you had to be there moments, but we talk about it all the time. Like, yo, that was really a really great episode, and that was a lot of fun. So 1 through 50 was good, and also I think it was episode 47 or 48, the ghouls, the girls hunting outer unknown lost spirits, a group of ghost hunters who came on my show.
Okay.
And it was 3 women and 1 guy, and this was an episode that we did, and I was telling them like, yo, I want to come on one of these ghost hunts with you guys. I want to come on with you. And they're like, well, Kev, put your money where your mouth is. Let's do it. And for real, I went on a ghost hunt with them, and that really happened, and I experienced it. It happened in Crescent Sanitarium. It's on YouTube. It's actually in my link tree. I still have that video. It was really quite the experience.
That's something else.
Yeah.
The most I'll do is ghost hunting on like Xbox. I play a ghost hunting game. I'm not doing none of that in real life.
Yeah, no, it's wicked.
That's crazy. So you said there is a video.
Yeah, I would do it again.
I think you brought that up when I was up there. I gotta watch that because that's crazy.
It's a really great documentary. I think it's like about 40 minutes long or so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 40 minutes. There was an entity that was next to me. You see it on the camera. Like it's effed up, bro. It's so effed up. You'll see when it happens. I just walk out the room like, all right.
You're right, yeah.
This is real.
So when we did my show, we had actually done a live show.
Yes.
Where I DJ'd live at the Middleman podcast to the radio station, which I thought was an awesome time. Like it was so dope to be able to do that and then talk. Mm-hmm. Have you thought about doing that with anybody else in musicians or other people doing stuff like that live?
So Colo, my editor, he always tells me, he's like, dude, you know how easy it would be for you to do something like that? It's like just a middleman spotlight or something like that. But it is something that I wouldn't mind doing, but it's not necessarily something that I want to do because you can only accommodate so many people in that spotlight and their art, you know what I'm saying?
That's true.
And that's a lot of that's musician based, you know. And I tend to speak to all types of people. Like, it'd be cool if I could have like a painter or muralist up there, like, you know, doing something for 30 minutes, but retention time too. Mm-hmm. You know, like we would have to. It would be like a 30-minute video that would probably be condensed to like a 3-minute hyperlapse. Right. You know, so I don't think it's something that I would do. Okay. You know, I do like to dive into different avenues, and when we did that for you, that was really dope. I did enjoy that too. The aesthetic was dope. Roast setup, we were bumping, we were vibing. I was having some drinks before the show.
It was a party in there.
I was real good. I was ready to go by the time this show started.
So what is the goal of the Middleman podcast?
You know, I think it's just to continue to grow and continue to break barriers and to continue to build this organic audience. The keyword is organic there, audience for myself. You know, I take a lot of pride in what my platform can do and has done. I always think about, is there a middleman effect? That's a question I ask myself. Okay. Is there a middleman effect? Like when you came on my show, prior to you coming to my show, after the show, did you also reap the benefits of having this conversation, right? Are you gaining followers? Are you getting new subscribers? And that's a question I ask myself, and I don't get much feedback about. But I don't think it's because I asked the question. Yeah. I think I kind of just want to let it organically roll out. I don't want to be like, hey, man, so how many followers did you get from the show? You know, I just kind of want to, if someone wants to come up to me and give me their flowers, give my flowers, you know, I'll gladly accept it, but I won't sit out here and look for it. The goal for the Middleman, I think, is just to keep growing and for this to become my actual career. And I find it fun because there are times where I run into people and they think that this is my career. They're like, yo, this isn't you still have a day job? Yeah, I do still have a day job. And, you know, when I can make the Middleman my day job, my livelihood, that's like the ultimate goal, right? Right. You take it from starting as a hobby to becoming a dream to actually hitting your dream and making a goal, because it's a dream, bro. That's all it is. Like I'm chasing a dream. I've been chasing this dream for years now, you know, and we fell and we got right back on, and we fell and we're back on. But now, bro, I'll tell you right here, right now, like my consistent growth with the consistency from posting every week, whether it be 1 to 3 new followers, subscribers, whatever, it's happening. And that's why I haven't stopped.
Right.
Because it continues to happen. So I'm doing something right.
Yeah.
At least I would think so.
Yeah.
You know? But everyone has their own opinion as to that. But yeah, that's why I won't stop. Because I'm continuing to grow. And until I don't grow anymore, I don't see why I should stop. You know, just keep going.
Yeah, you got to keep doing what you're doing. I think the podcast, especially in this area, needs more platforms where people of all walks of life has a chance to, you know, get to talk about what they do. I would say for the Middleman podcast for myself, and I brought this up before because we've done a lot of stuff with Atmosphere, and we're going to get into that in a minute. But I never liked being in front of cameras. That was my first long-winded, like, podcast. Like it was like what, an hour and 30 minutes or something. It was we sat down for a while and it was a good conversation, but anything I've done before has been like 2, 3, 4 minute quick interviews. That kind of broke the mold for me being comfortable in front of the camera.
Good. And I'm happy I was able to get you through that.
Yeah. So, you know, I love it. Also the Middleman, you know, as DJs in the music business, that's basically what we are. From the consumer to the artist, you come to the DJ. So it's like, you know, we love it over here. We appreciate you coming up.
Yeah, of course.
Don't go nowhere. You're not done yet. But we got to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. 107.5 Diamond. 107.5 The Diamond, DJ AR. We are back in the building. Keven Martinez, the Middleman, is still here.
That's a thing.
So outside of the Middleman, you also are owner, founder of Atmosphere.
Correct.
Can you tell me how that came about and what inspired that?
Atmosphere Music Festival, ATMOSFERE. It came to us from Mr. Drew Chase from 570 Exotic. So this is a whole backstory.
Okay.
A group of individuals from Stroudsburg had contacted Drew because they wanted to put on a festival that brought Stroudsburg and Scranton and everything in between, Wilkes-Barre, together, right? Hip hop, R&B, stuff like that. So these cats, they came to Drew, 3 people, and Drew was like, okay, I'm only going to do this if you allow me to bring my people in. All right. So then Drew had contacted me because Drew and I had prior conversations. I've always thought about the Middleman podcast presents blah, 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 you know, like a music festival. I didn't know when or how I would do it, but it was just always an idea that I wanted to execute. So he called me and, he called me. He said, who else do you think would be fitting to do this with us? And at the time, Methodonics was another person we called, and Steve's PA was another person we called. So basically, the Scranton side was Drew, Kelly, Steve's, myself, okay? And then we had those 3 other cats from Strasbourg. As we got to planning, so on and so forth, there were conflicts of interest with certain artists from the Strasbourg side that we didn't want this person on because they had a really bad rep out here in this area. And if we were going to do it here, we're sorry, we're not going to put that person on. And that caused a little bit of tension in a room. And so I remember that whole conversation. It was very foolish. But you ever just talk to someone and you're like, we're going to do this. And, you know, if there's a problem, you let me know. And if you're okay with it, just say, okay. Okay. That was okay we got. You know, I kind of already knew that something was up, and I'm just sitting there observing. And my older brother is extremely, like, he's one of the more short-tempered. He's very, like, he's quick, he's aggressive. That's just how he's always been growing up. He's definitely worked on that. He's doing a lot better now. But I saw my older brother and myself that moment, okay, because I immediately stood up and I was like, yo, bro, if you got a problem, say it, you know? Like, if not, then forever hold your peace. Like, this is why we're here, and if you can't say it to us now, then we're going to move forward from it. Yeah. Long story short, that meeting ended, and those cats kind of just, all right, you know, he actually shook my hand. I said, you good with it? He said, I'm good with it. I said, all right, just shake my hand. He shook my hand. That's a man thing, right? I agree. You shake someone's hand. Yeah. We're in agreement. If I wasn't in agreement with you, I'm not going to shake your hand. I'll give you a fist bump. But anyway, so that meeting was adjourned, and the next day they were like, "Hey, so we went back, we did some thinking. We don't think we're gonna do this. Even better, because honestly, they kind of held us back. Sorry, not sorry." And I mean that. And dude, the music was just
whack. Let's say
my
it.
God,
I don't know who you are, but you were whack.
It was horrendous, bro. I've seen this guy perform. He had the whole thing in his Call of Duty microphone. I seen him do like a spin kick. I've never seen someone do that in the middle of their performance. It was insane. I was watching Power Rangers mixed with a game or whatever, man. It was insane. But yeah, so they moved on, and so the four of us, we ended up calling upon friends who we relied on, and it became a little bit of an investment pool because it's a lot of money to do something like that. And since we were starting out, we couldn't really get as much sponsors as we wanted to. So we called upon our friends. We did a big investment pool. They also helped run the show. And it was a group of 8 people, including Atmosphere, the four of us. And just 3 months of planning. It took 3 months of planning, and we executed, and it was phenomenal. Year 1 was amazing, and I'll sit here and I'll say year 1 was better than year 2. Okay. But that's what happens. All right. So, things happen between the year where you start to lose a little bit of momentum. Maybe people don't like that person, this person, they feel some type of way because they aren't on a bill. There's a lot of politics. It gets extremely overwhelming. As a matter of fact, I broke down 3 times leading up to the festival year 2. Like broke down as in like F you and everyone involved around anyone right now. Okay. Leave me alone. I had it. I was up to here. It was a lot. I'm public relations. Yeah. I'm politicking. A lot of people knew me, knew Atmosphere through the middleman. And so, I brought them on and they met me through the middleman. But then when it became Atmosphere, it's a different type of business. Right. And, it's like, well, you're not the same as, I'm like, no, I'm still your friend, but now I'm just a businessman right now. So like, let's do it. But yeah, that's how it happened, man. That's how it all came to fruition. The artists, everyone knew artists. Steve's PA being who he is. I knew a number of artists from being a podcaster. Methodonics had his people in what was Stardom. Now it's Velocity. And Drew had his handful too of people that he selected. So that's how we did it, man. That's how we did it.
Yeah, I saw the festival like a week before year 1 started. Mm-hmm. And I told everybody I knew, sales, all of them, I'm like, yo, just hit them up. I'm like, it's probably late, it's probably booked, but just put your name in the pot for next year. Because when I saw that, I said, this is exactly what this area needs, because the rap scene has been depleted on a more of a bigger scale. I think it's very rich. There's a lot of people out here that do what they do that are really dope. But don't get the opportunity to really showcase it more than on their personal stuff. And so when I saw Atmosphere doing what they did, and especially once the station, we were doing what we were doing, it made perfect sense for us to work together and do some things.
Agreed. Yeah.
So, year 2, we were there.
Atmosphere couldn't be ever more grateful for 107.5 Diamond just like joining us, bro. Like, because you were our very first sponsor for year 2. Okay. You were on it as soon as you saw it. You were on it. You know, and we conversated over the phone. You and I told you I was snowboarding. Yeah. I honestly expected an older person too. I really did. I didn't. So when I've actually got to meet you and just seeing what you guys got going on here, bro, like we're extremely ecstatic to have you guys on, because like you said, hand in hand, we work together, because what you guys promote, the type of music that you guys are, playing on your station, is what we put on our platform.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. So it just works hand in hand.
And so obviously Atmosphere is music.
Correct.
So what is, your love of music and some of the stuff that influenced and inspired you the most?
So me with music, I love listening to music. I absolutely enjoy listening to all types of genres of music. Not so much country though. But when it comes to like as a listener, I love lyricism. Okay. All right. I love lyrics. I love listening to multiple different beat styles. And just trying to pick apart what they're saying. Like, I love like a good old double entendre, bro. Like that's like so sick. I'm like, it don't hurt I know there's one bar from this one song, I can't think of the name, but he's like, it don't hurt the check to see how you doing. And he's talking about like, someone looking on the stories, it don't hurt to check the blue check mark. It don't hurt your pockets. It don't like that. For me, I'm like, oh man, that's such a like cold bar.
Yeah.
A lot of the artists that I listen to are heavily a part of the Dreamville. You know, if you know Dreamville, those guys.
Shout out J. Cole.
JID, J. Cole. I've been listening to a lot of what's his name, bro? Freddie Gibbs. Freddie Gibbs. Earth Gang is fire. And I'm a big Logic fan. So growing up, like that was like my number one artist to this day. Like, don't diminish Logic's name. Like, that's my guy, you know. And I really like that music. You know, I just really enjoy listening to hip hop. Yeah.
Okay. When you get a chance, check me on Twitch. I got like 3 or 4 Logic things in the background. I got the whole Incredible True Story tour log. I got everything because it's like that was my guy too, especially when we dropped Under Pressure. That album was, you know, it hit home when it came out. You know, I'll say one thing, especially I like a rapper that can rap.
Yeah,
I like a rapper that can do all of it, but. And I'll say it. I've been telling, you know, DJ Macklemore that, you know, these rappers are whack. These rappers suck right now. I'm tired of y'all. Can we try and get some substance, but make a good record. I'm tired of it. Make a good record. I'm tired. I'm on a couple hours of sleep. We were at the Interstar Awards last night. We were vibing. We were around a lot of cool people, networking. Y'all rappers suck. I'm not having it today, all right? I'm mad today. But Freddie Gibbs just put out a great album.
Yeah, him and Alchemist, man. That album is absolutely amazing. Enchilada is probably one of my favorite songs on there. Enchilada, him and Anderson .Paak.
Yeah.
I grew up listening to rock for a little bit. Okay. You know, heavily influenced by like Rock Band and Guitar Hero, and then I just started listening to Eminem. I can honestly say that Eminem was probably one of the first rappers that I really listened to. You know, cleaning out my closet, stuff like that. It was just on the radio, and I was like, yeah, no, this guy is he's pretty legit. You know, and that was like kind of when I started listening to rap, because I remember I was like, no, I like rock, and then like I started listening to rap, and I'm like, okay. Then Lil Wayne came along, and so on and so forth. So
yeah. Chris Cooper was just up here before, and he was talking about Eminem and those guys from that era, Lil Wayne, Kanye. It was just that music. It had a different substance and different. It was more effort put into it. I feel like they were really trying to make music that people wanted to come back to. It had more heart. Now it's just like, I feel like a mumble rapper just getting on the mic where he's just like, yo, let me get a chain, let me get some girls in a car.
Bro, that 6'7" song is horrendous.
Like, shout out Skrilla. But yo,
that song is horrendous, bro. I just know that when anyone says 6'7", you gotta do this dumb shit. I don't even know what this is about.
That's funny.
That song that's the new music, and I'm like, bro, this is like garbage. Like,
some
of it could be okay.
I can get away with some of it. You know what I mean? Especially, you know, but some of this stuff, it's rough. It's really rough. But you know, we'll see where it goes. I think rap's gonna have a resurgence. I mean, the underground, especially JID, Benny the Butcher, Griselda, Joey Badass, all these guys,
Mr. Badass,
they are well and alive, doing their thing. But in the mainstream, it's after Kendrick absolutely gave Drake's the beats. It's been rough. So.
You know who's one artist that I wish was still alive, because he's like, when I listen to his music, I'm like, this guy is a complete artist. Capital Steez. Capital Steez, because you just brought up Joey, and I just like, I think about Capital Steez every time I listen to some of his songs. I'm like, yeah, man, like this guy. He would really put together things. I'm like, whoa, like that was insane. Like his word choice, he was very well knowledge, and just knew how to put it together.
Were you around? Well, obviously we're about the same age, but like, how deep in were like the Dat Piff era?
Dat Piff, not too much.
Not too much? Okay.
I'd probably listen to 2 of their hits, you know, but I know who they are.
No, the mixtape website.
Oh,
yeah, like
no,
no,
sorry,
no. That was like the where you would go get all the stuff online.
I was LimeWire.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah. LimeWire and stuff was on there. Dat Piff, Spinrilla, and it was like, yo, those eras of mixtapes too. Like, that I wish there was a area too for underground artists and stuff to really just drop stuff. SoundCloud was another spot, but yeah, it's just I think it'll come back. I think it'll come back around, and you know, Atmosphere, you guys give a platform to some of these artists like that. Like Gomi J, I think, has a really dope sound and style.
Gomi is extremely like he's dope. Like I love listening to him and Jazzy, man. Their Belt to Ass tour, man. They were on a tear. They still are on a tear, and I look forward to hearing all their new tracks. And it's unique because sometimes the album doesn't resonate. But and then I go like he's trying so many different things with Jazzy. Like Jazzy's really like expanded his sound and his the way he just creates music. So yeah, shout out Gomi.
Yeah, shout out Gomi, and it's also dope that we get to find and hear new artists that they might not be Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, Hazelton, but they're in Northeast PA because Northeast PA is a massive region.
Like Alaji. I'm
yeah.
Dude, Alaji was one of those guys who like hit up Atmosphere, and none of us knew him from anything prior. And man, like he's definitely earned the right to come back to any shows that
he's incredible.
What a performer! What a performer!
He just the show he put on last night at the Interstar Awards. We were just talking about it before. It was something else. All the choreography he had behind him with the dancers and how he was changing. He changed the fit and stuff.
Yeah.
For the show. It was something else.
He did an Atmosphere too. He did an Atmosphere too, man.
Yep.
It was incredible to see. He definitely got a lot of great feedback from the public. He is a complete artist, man, and.
Good dude, yeah.
You talk to him and then he starts doing his thing and it's like, whoa, it's like the same guy.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of dope guys that come out of it and artists that it's super dope to see. So I appreciate you. I appreciate the Middleman. Thank you for coming up, to the Diamond up here. We got a lot of stuff in store. My show now is 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Every Friday. And one day, like we said, you were saying, it could be full time. One day I'd like my show to be 2 to 6 every single weekday. And, come up here, hear some hits, hear me mix, and talk a little ish. All the three. So I appreciate you. You got anybody you want to shout out before we get out of here?
Definitely shout out my team because I wouldn't be anywhere without them. Anyone who's been here, my team has changed multiple times, but, they've helped me get to where I'm at now. So first and foremost, we're going to say thank you to Z Visions. We got Mr. Michael, our editor. Our cameraman who's always there. Nezo, our longest 10-year Middleman podcast member. Here's our audio engineer. One of the best, Nezo, Nezho. Check him out. And then we have Colo TV, who is our current editor right now. He's the newest member of the Middleman podcast, but he does a phenomenal job. So shout out Colo. And then I think that's it. Oh, Steve's PA. Shout out Steve's because, he subs in every now and then whenever I need him. And, just shout out everyone who's been supporting me and who has joined my platform and has allowed me to get to where I'm at right now. If you ever see me and you want to have a conversation, let's do it. I'm not this big Hollywood guy. I might walk around with a camera every now and then, but I'm still the same person, as I try to remain true to who I am and what I do, man. I'm a fool wherever I go and I have no problem being it, so that's it, man. So it's a pleasure. AR, thank you very much I am the man in the middle, Keven Martinez. Peace. That's how we do it.
I'm DJ AR 107.5 The Diamond.